Episode 151. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We have Green Lantern, and we have Jonny Quest, and we have Uncanny X-Men. Let's check them out right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. We just finished up on a reality show, and I'm waiting to see what my next adventure brings. Yeah, it was a lot of hours. My feet were killing me. But yeah, it was a dating show, so it's amazing because, when you watch these reality shows and you see women bickering and fighting and all that other stuff, you think that it's just scripted. But I can tell you right now, it is not. It is not scripted. So, and look what just came in the mail as well. So I'm going to be putting these out shortly. This is number 2. It is completely finished now. It is thick too. This is 50 pages, man. 50 pages. So my backers are getting more than I originally said, which is funny because I think we've talked about the fact. We are going to talk. My last episode talked about the fact that some of these guys, underdeliver. All right, so let's jump into it. Before we do, remember to give me a like and a subscribe if you can. Give me a thumbs up. But also, I want to remind everybody that it's only 10 days from now, 12 days, we're going to be launching Mythlord's Classic Monsters on Kickstarter. We're up to 460 people following. So check out the link in the description below, and you can jump in and just click notify me when we launch, and it'll let you know when the thing launches so you can take advantage of the early bird specials. That is a Monsters card game. It's lots of fun. All right, so let's jump into Green Lantern. This is part of the Absolute Power thing. It's written by my friend Jeremy Adams, who just had a birthday. So wish him a happy birthday. I am not collecting anything to do with Absolute Power, although this thing seems like it's been going on forever. And I just got Superman and Wonder Woman now, too, so I'm not even collecting the Absolute Power thing. I can give a crap less, but I don't want to break my run. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. But the Absolute Power thing is that Amanda Waller is taking everybody's powers with the Amazo robots. And one of the Green Lanterns, I think it's Alan Scott, original Green Lantern. He is in prison without his powers, which, again, I don't know how you take the powers of a Green Lantern ring. It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. But somehow they are. And there's one Amazo robot that he's playing chess with in prison or whatever, and he's trying to get the AI to understand that he can make his own choices. So that has a very heavy thing to do in here. But let's jump into it. So Hal is, I guess, because I'm not reading it, was given a mission by Nightwing, he and the Flash, who has no powers, and that is Wally West down the bottom. And Wally has no powers either, as I just said. So they are going to try to find this information. So instead of them doing that, they're on this skiff. And he's like, "You're going too fast." And he's like, "I don't have the speed force, so I'm getting nauseous." Yeah, whatever. I don't know where that costume came from. But anyway, they find this Batwing. It's called Batwolf. And Jeremy, I know where you took that from. That is from Airwolf. So, yeah, people that knew Airwolf, they took it from that. But anyway, they go on and on about the fact that this thing blows up. And Barb even comes through his mic and says, "Why are you taking that thing when you know it's going to explode at some point?" So, in fact, I thought it was going to blow up earlier. But he takes it, and then the Flash is down the bottom, and they're going towards the Hall of Justice, which is called something else at this point, because that's where the file is that they're looking for. But anyway, we have this whole thing going on where Dove is trying to save people, and I guess Dove has been out of the whole loop, so she has no idea that the absolute power thing is even going on. And Star Sapphire comes down, and that is, of course, Carol, who left her man at the altar to go back to Hal. But all of a sudden, she starts acting weird. I mean, Dove starts acting weird. And that is because... And wait for it. Wait for it. Sorrow comes down, and he is another, I guess, a Gray Lantern. I don't know what it is, but this is the guy she left at the altar, and I'm just not liking this Sorrow thing. It just doesn't make any sense. And because if the guy had a really traumatic background or whatever, I could buy it. But just being left at the altar, and this has traumatized him this much that he has turned into a villain, that his emotions is totally taking control. This guy was a soy boy apparently, because nobody's emotions take control of this. All right, you left me at the altar. Okay, well, on to the next. I've never seen anybody like this one. I'm not really digging Carol's face there either, but throughout the entire book, when she's like, "Are you what's his name, Nate?" So anyway, now we can see the Hall of Justice and the bat plane going through that, and he's like, "I need a way in so that Wally can get in there." And there's a Batmobile that just is on the plane as a transport. So he basically opens the thing and lets it fly out. And lets it fly out onto the thing. I guess he didn't care if he killed anybody on the way. Because he doesn't. He keeps also saying there's no lethal weapons on the plane. I don't think Hal would say that, because it makes it sound like he wants to kill people. But anyway, he's blasting people with this non-lethal stuff. Meanwhile, Wally gets inside, etc., and starts downloading the information they need. But then Major Payne, I call him Major Payne. He's Major something. I forgot what. He's like, "Oh, we have a major force," and he says, "Oh, we have major problems." So they make fun of the major thing continuously all the way through. Okay, so now we get to the Alan Scott thing in prison, and he's talking to the Amazo robot, and he's like trying to tell him, "Oh, you can make your own choices. You don't have to follow all these orders and choose life over death," and blah blah blah. And then we have this thing for All In. I know the Batman. I heard the Batman was going to be good, but I'm really just not interested in the least of having some kind of an else. They're going heavy into Elseworlds at this point. So yeah, so she is confronting Nate, and Nate's like, "I'm gonna cry you a river, baby." So he's basically strangling her with the sorrow clouds or whatever it is, and he's like, "Why'd you leave me?" Blah blah blah. And he's for Hal, and she's like, "I love him," and so yeah, so because Star Sapphires are the ring of love. That's the emotion. So green is will, red is rage, yellow is fear, etc. And now we have sorrow. So anyway, now he continues on. He's getting followed by Major Payne. I know Major Force, but I'm going to call him Major Payne. And, Hal is doing his best. And I kept thinking that this is where they were exploding, or where they were going to start getting beep, 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 that he had pushed it too far. But then the Amazo robot comes and starts fighting. He says, "I don't take orders from anybody," but then it does explode, and he ejects. So at least that pays off all that thing. But it basically exploded right where he wanted it to explode. So he starts falling into where the power battery is, so he can ignite his ring. So apparently when you steal the powers, it just drains the battery of the ring, which is very strange. But anyway, so he's falling off. He says, "I'm going to do it." I thought he was going to be able to charge the battery, or I thought that Carol was going to save him. But no, it isn't. And I would have preferred Carol saving him, but the Amazo robot is what saves him. So he charges the battery on the ring. He was, what I thought was cool too was that he was saying the Green Lantern code or whatever it is that ignites the ring. He was saying that, as he said it very fast, it was all one line. That was pretty cool. But anyway, then Carol does show up, which is why I think that she should have saved him. And then they fly off together, and she decides that she's going to be a hero again. And then we got this backup thing that I don't understand how any of this is working with Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's a great character, and now they're making him kind of wimpy. His mother is in his ring now, and he recreated his sister or something like that. That's now in human form, even though it's a construct. I don't know. I don't care. It just was weird. But overall, yeah, I like this. There's a lot. I would love to see a Green Lantern Star Sapphire movie. That would be amazing. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so far so good. All right, so let's go into Uncanny X-Men. This is by Gail Simone. I used to collect Gail Simone when she was doing Birds of Prey. She's probably one of the few people that actually wrote that thing well. And this one has Jubilee that has not shown up yet in issue 1. Rogue is leading with Gambit. And then you have Wolverine in here as well. And they run into the fallen creature there that was getting beat up. She's not even in this one at all. And then you have these other teenagers that showed up that are mutants. And that's where it ended. And so what happens is, I'm going to jump into it here now in a sec, but we have this side story with Charles Xavier meeting this woman and I guess flirting with her. And she's like, I need a boost to get my Frisbee or something. I don't know what she was getting up in the tree, but she does. And then I guess they go on a date. I don't really understand this whole thing that's going on with this side story. But anyway, we jump into these teenagers, these mutant teenagers, and immediately they just start fighting. So I guess they could show their powers or whatever. The reason for the fighting is there's no reason for it. They just start fighting. They're like, oh, we need a fight scene here, and we need to show what their powers are. So yeah, so that's Wolverine there, and one of the guys flies backwards, and the other kid, punches them in the head, and then we have Calico, which is the name of the blonde, with the horse. I forgot the name of it's like Jitter. Oh, Jitter. Yeah, Jitter is on the bottom, which I thought was a pretty cool name, actually. So, and she kind of slurs her words because she's speaking so fast, I guess. I think she kicks Gambit in the head there. And then we have this dead kid. I don't really understand what his powers are exactly. And then we switch back to where the Xavier school is, and we have them being taken over. I don't know who it is, Orcus or something to that effect. It's Greymalk in prison. Once Xavier's school for gifted youngsters, and they find the danger room, and she starts to reuse it for her own uses. And then we switch back again to this date where he reveals that he's bald, and she's like, oh, this date's going to be over now when I reveal I'm bald, and she's okay with it. This is never referenced. This whole date is never part of the story. It's just totally off the cuff. I was like, what? Where is this? Nobody knows. It's just a secret. So anyway, she ends up going to Banshee, I guess. I guess the female Banshee, I think it is. Oh, Siren. Then we switch back because she's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to join me, etc." So it's kind of all over the place. It's little pieces. Don't have no idea how they all put together at this point. So the battle continues, except now the X-Men start winning. So there's Calico that falls. And okay, it's over, and Calico reveals that she's not even a mutant. Maybe the horse is a mutant. I don't really know. But anyway, Jubilee shows up, and they hug. Hi, Jubilee. I missed you so much. So anyway, they start discussing what they're gonna do with them, and they introduce themselves. And Gambit. I thought that was nice that Gambit and Rogue were at least had some kind of relationship here, and have their relationship is alluded to where they kiss, etc. And of course the kids are like, oh, get a room or whatever else. Interesting stuff. So the dead kid is Death Dream, Calico, and Ransom. And as I said, Jitter. Jitter looks a little bit too anime in that picture. But now they're like, well, you have to help us, blah, blah, blah. Well, they were just fighting. Why are they suddenly asking for their help? It makes no sense. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where she calls Scott for whatever reason. I am not a Cyclops fan. And then we get a character that's like right out of Hulk. Because she's doing the horror thing. But anyway, so I guess they have some kind of creature living in there now. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. We'll make good. I don't know. I don't really understand what's going on at this point. There's just a whole lot of pieces all over the place. I don't even think Gail Simone knows what's going on. I'm going to keep getting it because the dialogue is written well, at least. But the story is just all over the place. I have no idea what's going on. But I also like the characters that are in it. So I'll continue for a while. I haven't collected an X-Men book in forever. So I'll get it from a couple of issues. All right, so let's jump into Jonny Quest. So Jonny Quest was a TV show, a Saturday morning TV show for kids. It was a cartoon, and it was about a young boy, a exchange student, I believe, named Haji, and the dog's name was Bandit. And then you had his dad, and I forgot his dad's first name, but Professor or Dr. Quest, and then Ray Spannon was like their muscle. So he was like the bodyguard or whatever. So in the last issue, they went back in time accidentally, and it was 60 years later. They came back to their house, and it was like a whole lot of security around, like drones and stuff like that attacked them. And anyway, they meet the 60-year-old Jonny Quest, and they're trying to get back. But there's a Dr. Zim who's the villain in this. I don't really remember it because I haven't seen it since like the early 80s. They walk around the house, and I guess there's some kind of a secret door that goes into their lab, and Johnny has Dr. Benton Quest. Okay, so that's his name. So the guy in the beard is the old Johnny, and they're wearing the same clothes. In 60 years, he never changed his clothes. But I guess everybody else besides Haji are all dead. And they didn't even bother going to a cemetery with them. They're literally they're buried out back. But you see how they're wearing the same clothes. So it is a little silly at times, but I guess there's the thing he created that kind of malfunctioned and sent them back in time. It's broken, and they need the pieces. So they scan it, or older Johnny scans it because they're not even aware of this technology at this time. But anyway, he says, yeah, it's at this Japanese place. But and they take off to go there, but they said we're going to make a pit stop first. And I don't understand why, but they go see the older Haji. But before that, they get attacked by Zim, who they have these robots that, I don't know, there's obviously a bunch of them, but you don't really see a bunch of them. But anyway, they crawl into the bedroom where they're sleeping, and instead of zapping them, they try to crawl all over them. I don't know why they just didn't zap them when they were that close, but they didn't. Because the plot says so, apparently. But anyway, they run out, and, I mean, they could do some major zapping there, and they just sit there looking at them. I don't know. But anyway, older Johnny, he EMPs them, which I can't understand why Zim, if he's so smart, why he didn't shield them from that, but apparently he didn't. And they take off to go to Japan for this part, but instead they go to India to go see older Haji. I still have no idea why. And we have no idea why they're estranged. Because they call each other brother, etc., and that's just a hologram. But then we have older Haji here, and he starts fighting them, and Race is knocked backwards, and then the two Hajis square off, and he calls for Haji, and they both say, "What? What do you want?" And then they realize they're the same person. But, they don't hate each other because he's like, I'm not going with you. So he's like, well, I'm really counting on you. I could use your help. And he basically tells them to go screw off. So I don't really understand it because that doesn't sound like Haji. So I don't really know what happened in all this, and they don't explain it. So we have Dr. Zim here, and that's the end. So I like the whole interaction between all the characters. I like their chemistry. I think that's all written well. I think that the plot is either it's so small a plot that they're just trying to get back home. I mean, and Zim is just in their way. I mean, I don't really know if there's any deeper plot than that, because I have no idea why Zim's after them. There's so many questions about what's going on. They're not answering any of it. It's kind of like what's going on with X-Men. I don't know. I don't get it. I would love to see so let's do a recap. I would love to see a Jonny Quest movie. I think this is ripe for doing a live action, but we need a better story than this. I just don't. Them going forward in time, just leave it. Either make it now, or leave it back then in the 80s. One or the other. X-Men. I love this team up. Although I wish Storm was in it, but Storm is an X-Men and Avengers now, so I don't know how all that works. But I would love to see. They have plenty of stuff for X-Men to pull from. I don't know if they're going to screw X-Men up how they're screwing everything else up. Hopefully they'll get everything back on track like they did with Deadpool and Wolverine. But I think that was only because the actors were like, look, we're going to be doing this our way or the highway. And Green Lantern, I would love to see another Green Lantern movie done correctly this time. There's a lot of good stuff to this, but the whole Amazo robot absolute power thing just sucks. So we're going to have... And I know that he's stuck with this story because it's across all of DC books. So Jeremy's just stuck with it. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And remember that I don't do this just for comic collectors. I do this for non-collectors, so you can see everything that's going on out there, and in case it does show up on the silver screen, you're seeing it here as well. But if you are collecting, let me know what you are collecting and what maybe something I should be collecting that you like. You're pretty much, throughout all the episodes, you're seeing all the stuff that I'm getting. All right? Thank you again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to give me that like, give me that subscribe if you can, ring that bell ding ding, and get notified of every time I put stuff up. I'm sorry that I went dark, but again, I was on that show. And remember, too, that Mythlord's Classic Monsters card game gets put up, upside down, gets put up on Kickstarter on October 1st, and just in time for Halloween, where you can play as your favorite monster. And, yeah, it's good stuff, including Bride of Frankenstein, etc. So you're playing as Dracula or Creature from the Black Lagoon, werewolf, etc., and then you're fighting over locations and stuff like that. Good stuff. All right. Thank you guys again, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a good week.